What I want to do now is add a shortcut icon to my web page. So what exactly am I referring to? Well, if you look up at the finished product over here, you see that I have a little hat next to my tab. But in my current one, I don't. And if you go to most web pages, Google have one. When you go to Google, you see, hey, look, it has a little G, it has its own G. If I go to CSS tricks, seems that everybody has their own icons next to here, and well, I'd like one too because this empty blank piece of paper thing, that's the default. So, well, to do that, you have two steps in doing that. The first step is you got to create the graphic file that does that, and that's favicon.ico. Favicon is what you end up naming it, and ICO is the format that you have to save it in. An ICO is not it's not a JPEG, it's not a GIF, it's not a PNG. It's a Windows icon file format. And there's a couple of different ways of creating this file. You could find a plugin for Photoshop that allow you to save it in that format. You can, sure, download a completely separate program to do that, but one of the easiest methods is just to find yourself an online converter that'll do it for you. So first order of business is actually let's find ourselves an icon. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to search for well, what I did for this one was Red Hat. Okay, and then after that I'm going to go to images, and on the size I'll find an icon. This will be the easiest way to get about what I'm looking for. Any one of these hats will do. So here we go. Here's a fedora, and once I find the full image, I could take this and drag it to my desktop, and now I actually have that image here. But this image alone is not going to do because it's not in the right format, because it's a ping. You're not going to find that. I don't think you'll find an ICO. Maybe you could dig around and find an ICO specifically in Google. I bet you, I didn't even bother trying, but I bet you probably can if you, poke around deep enough. But say you didn't find it in the format, but you found the image that you wanted to use it. Okay. Next order of business is actually saving it to the right dimensions. Now, this is the traditional size of this thing is 16 pixels by 16 pixels. So I'm going to just resize this guy to be just that. Here I am, tools, adjust size. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you do this in Photoshop or any other image editing software. You just got to get this bad boy to 16 by 16. And I'll hit OK. OK. And there's my image. You see, this hat's slightly different than the hat that I use in my other final, but the effect's going to be the same. So there we go. I saved it. Now I have a 16 by 16 pixel image. Now I need to actually get this thing into the ICO format. So going right here to Google, let me go back to the web search, and if you Google ICO converter, yeah, just do ICO converter. You probably could stand to spell it right, unlike me. Look at all these hits we find. We find tons and tons of places that are going to do the same thing. Essentially, any one of these. Here's the website I found right before shooting this video, but let me just wing it and try a whole different website. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to have where it wants me to upload. It wants me to upload the file. Here we go. Browse. I'm going to select this file. Upload. Is there any other options? It just says convert. Okay, convert it. Let's see what it gives me. So click here to download, and look at that. It's actually, so this, I see by the path over here that this is in fact a ICO file. So I could bring this guy over there. Look at that, ICO. And let me see what dimensions this is. Oh, look, I didn't even have to, well, no, I did resize it. So there you go. It's 16 by 16. Now I have a 16 by 16 ICO file. So what I need to do next is actually rename this guy. Some online editors will rename them for you, but there's a specific name you have to keep this as, and that's favicon. Okay, favicon.ico, of course, and there we go. Now, we need to add this. We need to add some sort of HTML code to our page to let it know that we have a web page here that we're gonna, or the graphic file that we're going to use as our favicon. So what am I going to do next? Well, I can't rely on Dreamweaver to move this file into my working folder. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a little bit of my own file management. And I've been storing my files in images. So there we go. I could just pop this guy right into images, right where all my other images are for stuff. And now the next thing I need to do is actually get the code that brings in this image, the HTML code. Well, how do I do that? You probably want to, you know, I did a Google search for favicon Dreamweaver, but you can even do favicon HTML. And how to add a favicon to your site. Look at that. And look, W3C, that's a good website, but you know, you're going to have a million hits, clearly. So let's start off with the first one. And you'll find a lot of stuff, but here is the link that'll do it. Actually, the preferred method I've seen, maybe this is not, no, actually I think this is not totally the code that I want. I think that piece is a little outdated. So let me see what I could find. If there's another piece of code, this is exactly this. You could put both of these links here. They're doing it. They show you to declare it in two different ways, but nowadays you really just need this first one over here. And it should say something like this: link, you know, the relation is what it is shortcut icon. It's href. We're going to need to edit this part because we need it to point to the graphic that we put into that images folder. So if this is going to our HTML file, all we have to do is add images folder over here, and the type image dot /x icon. Let's take that and let me go to my HTML, and right before I could add this right here, it has to be in the head because that's where all the metadata is, and I'm just going to paste that puppy right in there. Make sure that this ends in this bracket and not one of these / brackets, because that's going to cause an error, because that's XHTML and we're using HTML. So save it, and now I need to do something about this href because it's just not going to happen in there. If you realize what's going on is we have that image inside a folder called images, right? Here's our images and here's our index. So in order for this to work, we need to change this to images / there we go. And now the moment of truth. I guess we need to publish this because I thought I had it loaded up in a browser. There we go. You see that? Now it appears. Pretty simple. The most difficult part is just getting the image in the right format, which is that ICO. Once you found that, all you need to do is use this code over here, which says relative link. It's a shortcut icon. That's the kind of link that it is. It looks a lot like when we added our CSS page to it. The href actually brings it. It says where it is, and since I have it selected, I'm going to move this over and kind of keep it consistent with my style sheet. And the type is XImage. So already look at the similarities. That's part of the thing I'm doing here. The similarities of my style sheet link and of my favicon link. very similar, but a bit different. Obviously, it's not a style sheet, it's a shortcut icon, and its type is an image. And as long as you've nailed the path of where it lives, that's really all you need to do to get yourself a cool little shortcut icon like this, known as a favicon.